Welcome to the Simple Guide to Looking Bleep Hot podcast. I am your host, Alexandra Wood. Each month, I'll be exploring the highs and lows of business and how style forms a huge part of building a personal brand. I bring a modern twist to the often stuffy world of bespoke tailoring, and in each episode, I'll get the measure of my guests, from fashion faux pas to business seminars. So let's get cracking. So welcome to episode 2. I'm here today with Jason Kirk of Kirk Kirk Designer Eyewear. Is it designer eyewear or designer? You tell me.
Hi, well, thanks for inviting me along. We just call it eyewear. Yeah. Because I don't think that the word designer, that's all right. No, it's fine. But it's quite an important part of the conversation, I think, because I'm not sure the word designer in the context of eyewear actually works all that well. Yeah. What's going on?
Cool. And so I was going to talk a bit about how we met, and I had a long story about how I met my first guest, and then I was like, I don't actually know how we met, but I think it was from via LinkedIn, the powers of LinkedIn, which we're both fans of. I'm a fan of. Are you?
I am. Well, that is how we met, I think, and I was following your amazing performance on LinkedIn and the way you were changing the way that people think about clothing and suiting and tailoring. And it really, really impressed me. So I just wrote to you and got in contact, and that's probably how you meet lots of people, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's amazing because some people say, Alex, you can't live your life on LinkedIn. Well, clearly, I don't live my life. That'd be weird. But, you know, meet amazing people like you. And then I was on your podcast. How long ago? Was it pre or post pandemic? I can't remember.
It was post pandemic. I think it was probably about 2 years ago. Yeah. And you were great.
Thank you. So yeah, welcome. Be really cool to learn more about what you do so that our audience can understand, because there are many glass brands out there. I won't name the names, but where do you start with all of this?
This sounds like a very straightforward and simple question, a very basic question, but actually it's the crux of the whole thing, because the majority of people don't really know what represents good eyewear, what represents bad eyewear, what represents well-made, cheap eyewear. And there's a lot of our product, not Kirk & Kirk product, but eyewear generally, that's hidden behind a brand.
Plug.
Well, it's hidden behind a brand a lot of the time. So you're paying for what is essentially a licensed product, and that gives you absolutely no guarantee about what you're buying. Yeah. So when you go into the high street stores and you see all these names you recognize and you see hundreds of pairs of glasses, you think, well, that's the universe of glasses. But actually, it's really not. So Kirk & Kirk, for example, we do something entirely different. So we are the only people in the world that have developed a new material called K-Light. And K-Light is it's a type of acrylic, but it's a very specific type of acrylic that took us 5 years to develop. And essentially what it does is it makes the frames really, really light. So you can have something that is big and chunky like the frame that I'm wearing, or like Horace here. And it weighs absolutely nothing. So it's really comfortable to wear all day. And then you get these amazing colors that you just don't get anywhere else.
Just a quick one on the names, because I love that. I name everyone and everything, usually the wrong name. But how'd you come up with the names?
So the Centennial collection, which is the collection where Horace resides, is named after, it was launched to celebrate my family's 100 years in optics. Oh, cool. So each frame is named after a Kirk who was involved in optics. And I have a cousin called Horace.
Oh, nice. And so you just said 100 years. So is that how long? Tell me about everything. The whole lot. I'm here for it.
Well, so I started in optics in 1992. And at that point, I'm third generation optics. So my grandfather and his brother have been going since 1919. We've actually found some earlier records, but 1919 officially. And they were absolutely brilliant. Sidney and Percy Kirk set up factories around London and abroad. And they had this great attitude. They're incredibly altruistic. So they would help other people set up factories that we might consider to be competitors these days. Yeah. But they saw that as boosting an industry. And if the industry did well, they would do well. That's so they took this really cool approach. And also they were incredibly innovative. So hence the conversation about our materials. My dad was an optician. All his brothers, all his cousins were opticians. And our generation looked like they were going nowhere near optics, including me. And I was working for L'Oreal. And I was helping my dad clear out his practice one weekend. And I found this box of beautiful old 1950s and 60s glasses. And I was like, what are these, Dad? And he said, just some stuff that your grandfather made. If you like them, keep them. And I was like, these are amazing. I took a week off work at L'Oreal and I went up to London and I went to see the designers of the day and, or people I didn't know who they were because it just wasn't my world.
Yeah.
And I went to see people like Helen Storey and Nick Coleman. And there were no barriers for me. There was no, it was like these were just the people who had the retail stores around Carnaby Street, for example. And they were so welcoming and brilliant and they loved what we were doing. And I went back and I was like, God, Dad, I really want to do this. This is like, I've got a real job, but actually I'd like to do this. And I went into work on the Monday and purely by coincidence, L'Oreal made me redundant that day. So your job at L'Oreal? I was doing sales and marketing, selling Ombre Solaire and Garnier and that kind of product. And Karen, who was my girlfriend at the time, now wife for 30 odd years, is our creative director and designer. And at that time, Karen wasn't involved at all. She was a graphic designer. So we were kind of looking at this together and she would watch me trying to draw glasses and go like, what are you doing? So I very quickly got moved away from that area. Karen took over that side and I do the CEO stuff, mostly around sales.
Yeah. So on that front, so how do you sell, because you've got such a magical story and I didn't know that about 100 years of optics like that. That's really cool. So what's your angle for promoting your products?
What's our angle?
Yeah. Obviously do you utilize the history and the materials and because it's very edgy as well.
It's really important. We want people to feel different about eyewear. Our raison d'etre is that people really enjoy eyewear. You see people really approaching it as something functional. The first thing about eyewear for most people is that they need to be able to see, and there's a medical requirement, and there's no kind of like shying away from that. That's the most important part of it. But at the same time, there's a really important style element that people often neglect. They're just like, well, I can see, so that's fine. Or you go to an optician and they don't inspire your confidence in their ability to style you, and that's really important. So for us as a company that most of the time what we're doing is we're designing, creating eyewear, and we sell it to independent opticians and we rely on them to tell our story. Yeah. So we give them tools, we give them point of sale material. We do lots of promotion, lots of social media. We're on LinkedIn, all of that kind of thing, but we're relying on them to tell our story. And they have a number of brands in their store, of course. So they choose who they're going to tell the story about and how they're going to articulate it. And that's a real challenge for any brand. So we have lots of ways of talking directly to the consumer, but that's not a massive part of our business. Yeah.
So your glasses are very characterful. Do you have any understated designs, or are that is the core base of them, that they are funky and colourful? And how do you get around that? Because I guess you'll have characters who like yes and migrate to them because they love colour and something that's unique and different. But I can imagine there'll be people that are kind of like, oh no, that wouldn't suit me.
I think you get that with any product. Kirk Kirk is all about finding eyewear that reflects your personality. And it's most people who are into a pair of glasses like this, they've got more than one pair of glasses. They're excited about eyewear. They understand what it can do for them. You got to dress yourself right up to here and beyond if you're a millionaire. If any millionaires are listening. I
thought you said millionaire.
If you're a millionaire. But you've got to think right from the top of your head to tips of your toes all the way through. And so people who are into eyewear and understand what eyewear can bring for them. There's your next question. What eyewear can bring for them.
Yes, what can I?
They're really into glasses, and they have glasses that reflect their personality and their mood. I mean, I wake up in the morning. First thing I do is put on a pair of glasses that feels right, and then think, how am I going to get dressed? Yeah. And it's really that way around, because it's natural. It's like a vibe.
Yeah. And so what made you choose the glasses you're wearing today? What mood were you in today?
Buoyant, energetic. I was also, let's be honest, I was conscious about what I was going to wear to meet you. So I put this jacket on and I sort of felt that this would kind of work, but in an eclectic way. I mean, there are other ways. I'm not going to tell you how much time I spent in front of the mirror this morning, but I looked at, this is Horace, and this is limited edition color that we did, and I thought about wearing this as well. But
cool.
I think this is thank you. But this is a brand new launch that we've just done, and I'm kind of excited about it, so I wanted to wear that too.
Yeah, because when we're designing for clients, there's I like mixing textures and different colours together, because sometimes people can go for like very typical pairing. So I quite like the fact that you've got like funky teal glasses, which may add. Is your brand colours, because you kindly gave me a pair of beautiful sunglasses, which I'll put on later. Is this your brand colours? What are your overall brand colours?
They're strong. I mean, turquoise, teal, those kind of really strong colours. But they're colours that kind of reflect, for me, they reflect... Karen, who looks after our brand, she's a custodian of the brand. All of the graphics is her, and she might express this differently. But for me, it's an excitement. It's a joy. The word joyous comes to mind a lot around our brand.
So I personally don't actually need to wear glasses yet. This might change in the near future. But I've typically had 40-40 vision. Is that a thing? I don't know if he was joking, but definitely 20/20. And I've always said, I don't suit glasses. I just look weird. I feel weird. I imagine you have some people that like it might be their first step into wearing them. Do you have that reaction a lot?
So there's some really interesting things around this. I mean, you asked before about what about the people that want to wear tortoiseshell glasses or black glasses, or, you know. Of course, there will always be people that don't want to wear glasses or that want to wear something that they perceive as being normal. But actually, the most normal is the glasses that reflect who you are. Yeah. It's very easy to find glasses that suit you physically. That's really, really easy. But actually, glasses that suit you emotionally, that's more of a challenge. And that's why when you go looking for glasses, you should go to like a little independent optician that really cares about what they're doing and cares about how you feel, not just how you look, but how you feel when you put those glasses on, when you leave the store, and you should feel 2 inches taller. If they've got it right, if we've got it right, then you should feel really good about it.
That's our line as well. We make people look slimmer and tall, and they go, where do I sign?
There you go.
So my dad wore a pair of like red glasses, or there's a picture of him somewhere in this house, red glass in Paris. And I used to think, God, Dad, they're a bit radical. And he had I call it a porno tash.
Nice.
But yeah, he had a tash and these red glasses, and that for me, I was like, wow, that's pretty out there. So and I should send him your way.
I've got to be careful how I phrase the question, but does that kind of reflect your dad's approach to day-to-day life? Not necessarily the porno tash bit, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Is that a reflection of his personality?
My dad is very understated. Okay. Like for all my clients who say, "Oh, I only wear navy," that's pretty much my dad. So. But, you know, he's got that personality in there. So I always say most of our clients are quite understated. They've got very serious jobs. But something about our brand appeals to them. It tickles them because it's like a little bit naughty, a little bit silly, a bit different. Okay. And my dad's probably like, he's a big part of my brand. So that probably comes out. So maybe the red glasses was his kind of, I feel like being a bit naughty today.
Do you think that suggests that there's a kind of an element of surprise? Like there's somebody that you see. So just to be clear, I've never met your dad, but there's somebody that you see, that you meet, that feels quite understated, quite sort of classic.
Yeah.
But you look at the glasses and you go, hang on a minute, there's something going on here.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly it. You know, we people want to wear glasses that really, really project who they are. And you'll find when I do a lot of work in store, and you always see people come in and they try on a really bright color pair of glasses because they want to wear them. Yeah. But they need validation. Yeah. They need.
It's quite a big thing, like it's on your face. Like seeing it.
And it must be the same with any change of outfit or style. Yeah. It's like you need someone to tell you that's okay. You need to understand that that's fine. And the problem is that you've got a lot of people in our world, a lot of people saying, well, no, you know, you've got to like be really super conservative. Why would you want to wear something colourful? Well, you're a colourful person. Just like, who are you? I don't want to, if I go to a party and I see, I'm going to be in trouble now. If I go to a party and I see somebody wearing a pair of tortoiseshell glasses, I'm not attracted to that person to go and like have a chat with them. It's like,
shit, I love tortoiseshell.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? It's like if somebody's wearing something interesting, whether it's glasses or shoes or a jacket, whatever it is, you kind of like, okay, well, that person looks like they've got something about them.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we see people and, you know, like there was a picture that you posted the other day that we talked about before.
Yeah.
And this guy looked absolutely brilliant. He was like, clearly dressed beautifully right up to here. And he looked like he just had a little pair of thin metal glasses on, and he looked like he hadn't thought about his glasses. And I was like, that's such a shame. And that's so typical of what we have to get, the way that we have to get people to just rethink like the whole of their wardrobe.
Yeah, because I, before meeting you, it never have crossed my mind. I deal with the there, and maybe like we do sort of help advise clients on shoes, but I wouldn't never have thought of glasses be like that, nor a hat. So it's the millionaire.
But it's transformational. It's just in the same way that you do that for people, you make people feel completely different, and their shoulders go back and they stand up. It's the same thing with glasses.
Yeah, definitely. And socks and shoes, the whole shebang. So going back to, your business progression, so you've mentioned where it all really begun. So what were your highs and lows? Because it's hard growing a brand, as I can attest to. So what's been the highs? What's been the lows? Have you ever gone, do you know what? I'm out of here.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's good. Nice honest answer.
No, absolutely. I mean, we started off in 92, and we had a different company, which we built for 20 odd years. And we got some investors involved because we thought we couldn't reach the potential that we had without getting those investors involved.
Yeah.
And let's just say we didn't share the same vision.
Yeah.
And we had to walk away from our own company. And that was over 10 years ago. It's about 12 years ago now. And that was a really interesting time because for Karen and I, it was like, well, okay, do we do something different? Do we stay with what we know, what we love? But you can't help but have a kind of a bitter taste for that sort of experience. But we just love eyewear.
Yeah.
It's like 3 generations are in our blood. And my parents had this beautiful practice in a place called Chelmsford St Giles. And then my dad had a place in Kingsbury as well. And we just grown up with it. And seeing an industry and a profession that needs love, that needs to change. I'm really, really driven by that. And so is Karen. So we couldn't really walk away. So that was the low point. That was very, very difficult when you've built something up for that period of time.
Is it a completely different name?
Yeah, completely different name. Yeah. One that I'm not mentioning at the moment.
Yeah, I thought you might not.
which is fine. I mean, it doesn't really exist. It's not out there at the moment. But, who knows? But we launched Kirk Kirk. We launched our first collection in 2015. And we were lucky because we had the goodwill of the industry. And, that's like something you can't take for granted.
Yeah. So what's the future strategy? Because I've seen some changes go on LinkedIn. Good plug for LinkedIn today.
Yeah.
What's happening? I feel like there's a little change because I think people pick up on these things because I always put stuff out on socials and then people go, oh, I noticed your order. And I go, how do you notice? You're putting it out there for a reason. But the US, is that a thing? Or
US is big for us at the moment. So about 50% of our business is in the US. So and I'm going tomorrow for a 2-week sales trip, interviewing reps, all that kind of thing. So it's a big business for us, but we sell all over the world. We sell in 40 odd countries. Canada's big for us, France. But I think it's about where you put your effort. So like what's changing at the moment, if you're talking about geographically, how we're growing and changing, India has been amazing. Like the last 6 months.
Yeah.
We met some fantastic opticians from Mumbai. And we developed a relationship over about a year before we actually started doing business together.
Yeah.
And they have been really, really supportive and pushing our business for us and helping us navigate what is an unfamiliar territory for us. So we're now starting to meet people from other cities and towns in India. And we're on these enormous stars
so cool.
that are people that we wouldn't necessarily know without the support of our industry, without the support of the people around us. So
that's your definite high then.
It's a definite high, and we're definitely looking at territories where we're not really present, but there's room to grow. Where do you see that next? Do you have an idea of that? Or like I said, India is really important. I think Japan will be a great place for us to grow. We've got some history in Japan as well, and they have brilliant stores out there. And I think the Middle East as well. It'd be nice if there was some peace out there.
The whole world. Let's just go world domination.
Yeah.
And so like setting up a business, what piece of advice or multiple, would you say, don't do it?
I got asked this question recently, and I realized that all the advice that I gave was things that I didn't do. And that's kind of, I think that's probably, is that fairly normal? Is that kind of...
What are they? And I'll tell you.
Well, just be ready before you do things. Like wait until you've got your
I've never been
finance in place. Exactly. Like wait until you've got your finance in place before you launch your company. Well, no, who does that? Nobody does that. But it's a good thing to do. I think I was thinking about this on the way over because funnily enough, I was expecting that question. And I thought, spread a little kindness as you go. I just, you can learn from people, listen to people, learn from people, and put something in. Even if you're not putting something back, even if you haven't taken out yet, put something back to people. Give people your time. Be accessible, and it comes back. I've been really fortunate. So, for example, we talked about when we lost our first company, and then we set up Kirk Kirk, and we had the goodwill of the industry. I'm really fortunate that this morning on the way over here, I spoke to an optician in Australia that I haven't spoken to for 25 years. Yeah. He's just come back into the industry, and he approached me and we were just like chatting away on LinkedIn. And it was brilliant. So maintaining those relationships, people remember how you behave all the way through.
Definitely. I agree, actually, because we're putting out a magazine, and then our marketing guy said, "Oh, do you know this guy?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh, I just wanted to check just in case you've fallen out of him." I said, "I don't fall out of anyone." I went, "Okay, strictly not true, but very minimal people." But he was like, "Okay, cool." And that's like, it's good to keep good relationship. All right, you might not like everyone, but it's like, just be a decent human being. It's not that hard, but some people think it is.
Yes.
But in terms of like your personal brand, because you've got a very strong presence both in your glasses and your natural style, which I love. Do you take conscious thought, because my focus is on clothes, your focus is on glasses, do you focus on the outfit as a whole, and like, is this representing my brand? Is this me every day?
I absolutely. I think that I don't like it when I or anybody else is too kind of preened and like it looks like they've taken too much time and too much care over themselves, and that suggests that they're excluding everything else and they're just like thinking about themselves. But I do really care. I love clothes. I love all clothes and accessories. I really enjoy dressing up. And discovering clothes, or discovering new ways to wear old clothes as well, which is really interesting.
Where's your jacket from? Because it kind of looks vintage. So where is it from? Where do you buy your stuff?
It's vintage. I haven't got a lot of
panels
vintage in my wardrobe. I mean the detailing. That's why I chose to wear it today because I thought the detailing is really lovely. I don't know if you can pick it up on there, but it's like there's kind of like sort of stitching.
I saw it the minute you walked in.
Thank you. And it's a vintage.
Oh, Lanvin. Ooh, fancy.
And I stumbled across it in a vintage shop in Worthing. And I just had to have it, and weirdly it was my size, so I was like, that was great. But I'll mix things up, and I mess around. I mean, the jeans are I bought them in Japan.
Funny, I was like, they're definitely Japanese selvage heavy.
They're super heavy.
Yeah,
they're my favorite jeans I've ever had. So by a company called Kojima Jeans. And they're 23 grams, 20 ounces rather. And they're absolutely just like, they're such a pleasure to wear. So it's really nice. But I'll mix it up. And sometimes things are branded. Yeah. Most of the time. I would never wear a conspicuous label. So I'd never wear something that is like, like a big Gucci t-shirt or something. You're not going to find me.
Thank God.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
you can stay.
Obviously. Thank you.
I always say to clients, please don't, because I think it makes people. I put a TikTok video. I had to come off TikTok after that because I said, men, stop dressing like a teenager, like wearing Gucci labels. Because Evie looked like a teenager because my teenage stepson wears that kind of thing, which is fine. He's 19, and my brother did when he was younger. But it looks like that, or you've just bought it from a cheap market. And it's like, as you get older and more refined, I feel like you should take more care, and you shouldn't need to splash the labels and show you're spending lots of money like it's
hopefully when you reach a certain point in your life, and that might be when you're 20 or when you're 50, you've got a bit more confidence in who you are, and you don't need to hide behind a label, or you don't need to try and suggest that you're something that you're not by wearing a certain label.
Yeah.
And so I'll never, I mean, that's, one of the things about our glasses is that there's no external branding at all. And it's,
That's
I mean,
true.
it's kind of hard to say that a pair of glasses like these is understated, but there's no labeling there.
Yeah.
And so you end up with this membership of a club, an unofficial club, where people like once you know Kirk and Kirk, you spot other people wearing it.
It's got definitely distinct colour, style, everything.
But you know they're like-minded. You know they're independent. You know they're slightly irreverent. You know they've gone out of their way to find something a bit different. So you're probably going to have something in common with that person.
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting way to meet people.
Yeah. So I was saying to Jason that on the train, like you must be your own salesperson, because I think people would find it quite difficult not to go cool glasses or whatever, and you can have that conversation. Does that happen a lot?
I love it.
Yeah, you're like business card.
Well, I mean, there are going to be days when you don't really want to. That's the kind of the choice of the glasses that you make.
Yeah.
In the morning.
Do I not want to talk to people?
It's very rare that I'll put on a pair of when we do black glasses and we do crystal glasses, but when we do black, they're matte black or there's something different about them. But it's very rare that I feel like wearing something that understated. And then sometimes people come up and they'll say, "Oh, I like your glasses." And it's interesting because then it's like, well, do I say what I do or do I just leave it so there's that as well? So, yeah.
I just had a vision of like QR codes coming out the lenses and you go, but scare my eyes. Do you do bespoke glasses or is it all pre-designed collections?
We do limited edition collections and we do, but we do mostly wholesale or short runs. It's very complicated. We have done it in the past and we can do it, but it's really, really complicated. So what we've tried to do is across our collections, and we have 4 different collections, and a sunglass collection. Across the collections, we should be able to find something that reflects who you are. Yeah. We should easily be able to do that. So, and then we work really, really hard at upskilling the stores that we're working with so they understand the collections and understand how to read a person.
Yeah, that's key actually. And I love how you use the puns, which are like inevitable, because I'll be like, oh, whatever suits you, oh, it's tailored for you, and you say reflect a lot, so it's it's so funny. Love it. But so in terms of like training your staff, because I remember listening to something where a brand, I think it might be Holland Cooper, she went into her stores every week to fully train them, because that is, as you say, a massive part of it is them really understanding. Are you allowed, I guess you can't handpick who's selling because they're selling other brands as well, but
they're selling other brands and they don't work for us. That's the thing. I mean, most of the time, 99.5% of the time, they are employed by the optician in that store. But sometimes if we're working with a department store, for example, and they're selling sunglasses, it might be independent sales consultants. Even then, they're working for somebody else. Yeah. We put a lot into our training manuals. We're constantly updating those, and we're constantly refining how we communicate. I love it. We're just learning all the time. The thing that really gets me, so I've been doing this for whatever it is, 30 odd years. And then you try and recruit reps. So I'm going to America tomorrow interviewing reps, and I hopefully won't have to do that too often. And we'll have to train the people and get them to understand everything that's going on. So there'll be some face-to-face training, and there'll be a book that they'll get to work from, and videos and all that kind of stuff. But you say to people like, what training have you had before? And they're just like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like, and so many of these guys, who a lot of them are very, very good. They're natural salespeople. But so many of them have just been given a case and told, go out and sell this product. Yeah. And I just don't get it. And it's an issue for our industry. It's probably the same in other industries as well, but it's certainly an issue in our industry that people don't necessarily take the time to think about the styling aspect, because the frame is the styling aspect of what we do. And it gets neglected. It's kind of like, it's much less important for a lot of the people that are running these businesses.
Yeah. And I guess like with what we do with our clients, it's, as I said about that random QR code comment, I think in pictures. So the minute I see you, I'm like, this will look great, this will look great. And they're oblivious because they do what they do. So it's about understanding instinctively someone's personality and who they are as a person to choose the right things for them.
Yeah.
So how do you train your team, or what's your way of going about, like, you chose my beautiful sunglasses for me because you were like, she's like this.
Yeah.
A bit weird. So she'll suit them. Like, so how do you train your team or your reps?
It's getting them to think differently, because when somebody joins us new, most of the people who would join us as a rep are familiar with our collection and they understand what we do and why it's different and everything else, and they want to work with it. But most of the people in the industry, by definition, haven't worked with us. So they're used to something that is often fairly generic, and used to these generic definitions of like what shape frame you should wear with what shape face you have. And it's like, I'm like,
yeah.
You know, I could take you into an optician down the road now and I could show you 100 frames that will suit your face, like physically. That's so easy. But it's how do you listen? How do you absorb what that person is and what the message is that they want to get across? You know, and that's, we spend a lot of time just doing that, just listening. You know, like the frustrations I've had with reps over the years, it sounds like a long rant at the moment, but the frustrations I've had with reps over the years, you know, I say, well, how do you sell? You interview somebody, you say, how do you sell? And they go, oh, well, I just go and I tell them all about the product and I ask them if they want to buy it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? And how many sales do you make?
No.
And, you know, and probably most of them are much more successful than me, but it's not what I want my team to do. I want my team to ask questions and learn about the person standing opposite them.
Yeah.
You know, and if it's a business, it's, well, what's going to make your business grow? How can we contribute to the growth of your business? And if it's a consumer standing opposite, it's like, well, how do you want to feel? How can we make you feel that way?
Yeah, because our tagline is be seen the way you deserve to be seen. Probably very appropriate for what you
Can we borrow that?
Yeah. I was like, actually, you might want to steal it if I say this. But it's all about people want to be heard and they want to be seen. So it's like, yeah, understanding their story is really key. So yeah, as you say, listening to people, because, you know, we have some kind of process like body shape, this and that, but sometimes things just completely fall out of that, because I was like, I just feel like this would suit you. And on that note, I created something for you, which is a mood board.
What have we got?
Of designs that I thought would suit you, sir.
Excellent.
So with each guest, we're designing a mood board that I feel captures their style, personality,
Okay.
and how I would perceive your brand if it was me. Are you nervous?
I'm excited.
Oh, goody. So this seems quite appropriate. I chose Jeff Goldblum as a good inspiration. He wears a lot of glasses.
He does.
And pink velvet suit there. I mean, the image on the right with the for our audio listeners, grey and black, and there's black leather there, which is a little bit more understated. But, you know, change that for your teal glasses. What do you think, dare I ask?
You've got me down to a T. I mean, absolutely perfect. I would wear any of those outfits in a heartbeat. Absolutely fantastic. And I love the colourful suits. And I love Jeff Goldblum's style. He's weirdly, I bumped into him on a plane.
Amazing.
About a month ago, and he's the most
Did you give him
generous.
Some glasses? Or sell him some?
He has some very nice glasses on already. But he's the most generous, open person. Like everybody wanted to talk to him and have a selfie with him. He was delightful, and he is a real style.
Yeah, because in The Fly, I know that's not technically his style, but he's totally evolved and he looks like a really cool, I think he's nearly 70, he looks amazing.
I think he may be the other side of 70 now, but he looks amazing, and he was just very, very nice. But he really has lovely style and that kind of understated ease that he carries.
Yeah. So much like your glasses, you know, designing for personality, that's what we do. You know, it's like, if I have a corporate lawyer who has to be sensible in his day-to-day life, that might be, as I was talking about a client earlier, who's a little bit more rocky on the weekend. And you're what I call the experimentalist, which is much more out there, like, I am who I am. I think that's a Shirley Bassey song. But that's what the mood board kind of
I think the mood board's brilliant. Thank you. But I want to come back to something you just said.
Yeah.
because you talked about people like, like the lawyer or the accountant, there's got to be a certain thing during the week. And then at the weekend, they can go wild.
Yeah.
Well, the question or the challenge that we have is how can we make them how can we enhance that person they've got to be in the week and allow them to wear really interesting, exciting glasses?
Yeah.
Because if you're now obviously I haven't got the whole collection here, but if you're a lawyer or you're an accountant, I've got some really good specific stories about lawyers and accountants, but what do you want to say about yourself? What do you want to say if you're a barrister, if you're standing up in the court, or if you're a solicitor facing clients and you've got a big corporate deal to do? You don't need to be understated with a little metal frame or a little tortoise shell. It's like, why do people think that's what you've got to do? If I was a lawyer, and it's not very likely to happen, but if I was a lawyer, I want to say, like, I'm professional, you're going to get a really good job from me, but you're going to enjoy working with me as well.
Yeah.
And you don't have to wear like pink glasses to do that. You can wear, like, we have a color called Midnight, which is a grey blue. So you can wear something that suggests that it's kind of like, okay, it's not really screamy, shouty, but at the same time, it's interesting. Just like your dad's red glasses. It's like at the same time, there's something else going on. And you as my interlocutor should want to know what's going on behind those glasses.
That's interesting.
So that's for the week, not the weekend.
Yeah. Be who you are all the time.
Yeah.
I saw a little snippet from Owning Manhattan, and there's a young guy, like, tattoos, shirt open, and he was like, I'm selling houses, like, whatever, and he said, because people want to work with me, basically because I'm cool and just being myself. They don't want to work with that guy in his boring suit. So it's like, maybe we should all just be ourselves. But like attracts like overall. But I think things are changing and evolving, and you don't need to be in a corporate world and dress corporate all the time now.
So I'd like to ask you a question. What about judging people by the way that they dress? How do you feel about that?
I'm so judgmental. No, I'm not. But it takes 7 seconds, but that can be positive, negative. I think overall someone's got to like really own their style and look confident in it. You like exuded confidence. You're like, yeah, this is a guy I want to hang out with. So if you dress like that as a lawyer, I'd be like, you look confident either way. I think it's if people are it's not suiting them. So a big part of what we do is like, whatever clothes you suit, own your clothes. Don't let them own you. Don't let it walk in ahead of you. It kind of has to be all harmonious, because there's plenty of people go, that's a trend, I'll wear it, and they look very uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
So it's being comfortable in your own skin and wearing, pushing the boundaries, but within something that suits you, fits you. So
yes. Well, that estate agent that you mentioned, with like open shirt and tattoo, there's a suit that he can wear and still exude that same confidence and that same personality.
Yeah, and it's the confidence of his self and of what he's selling that probably comes across. I wouldn't be like, oh no, he's got tattoos, I'm not going near him. It's just, it's all part and parcel of what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was amazing. Love it. You're launching a new collection, I think it is.
Yeah. What
would you like to promote to our audience?
So we've just come back from the Paris trade show called Silmo, where we launched 2 new frames. This is one of them. This is Volker, and we've got another frame called Cat. You can see them all on the website, kirkandkirk.com. There's a whole list of stockists on the website, and we sell all over the world. But I've started putting on my LinkedIn. How many times have we mentioned LinkedIn today? I don't know. But I've started putting
sponsored by LinkedIn.
But I've started putting my email on the end of everything that I do, because I love eyewear. I love seeing people really enjoy eyewear, and I don't mind if people just write to me and go, well, this is what I'm looking for. Where do I go? It's like, and so I want to help people find eyewear that they love. So you can find our stockists on our website, but if you just want any general advice about eyewear, anything at all about that kind of thing, just drop me a line on jason@kirkandkirk.com.
Perfect. We will do indeed. Thanks so much.
Thank you. It's been great fun.
Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll be back with you on the next episode talking with a new guest about their business and style journey.